Hello, everybody. It's Dina, and I'm back to talk about our book. It's Scars to Stars, and it's 20 authors talking about overcoming adversity and resilience. And it's very vulnerable, personal stories. And I'm here today with Darryl Rodgers, and he talks about um, how the loss of a child has made his love unstoppable and talks about what he can use that for going forward. And so I'm going to let him tell us a little more about his chapter and his story. So welcome, Darryl.
Thanks, Dina. Thanks. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this project. I've had a little bit of an opportunity to listen to some of the other stories and get to know some of the other authors just a little, and some really amazing stories of resilience and overcoming. And um, yeah, in terms of the book, so I had I wrote a book about Chase's life about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I guess, and and I've been speaking since then quite a bit, and
Mhm.
I've learned to condense the story so I can get it down into like a 15-minute story. So I've had to leave out a lot of the details and try to figure out what people want to hear, and what resonates with people. And um, when I wrote the chapter for the book, the editor wrote me back, Demi. She wrote me back and said, "Can you put in a little bit more detail in this particular section here?" So and what that section was is really about when the police officer showed up at our house to give us the death notification. It wasn't too long ago I actually went to speak to a group of officers about, they were giving a class, or they were taking a class on um, death notifications. And so I told them my story, and so I kind of had to go back at that time a few months ago, and kind of relive that. And so that kind of brought some of those details back fresh in my mind. So when she asked me about that, I didn't have to reach too far back, but it's not one of those things you ever really forget. Like I said, I tend to leave it out, a lot of that, during when I'm speaking, but I remember every single detail of that day. Um, just minute details. Um, and it is one of those things that losing a child changes your life. I would tell people that two of the there's several moments in my life that are pivotal, but certainly the day that Chase was born, because he was my first born, so that changed me because I became a dad for the first time. And that was kind of a big wake up call for me in a lot of ways, and really just changed my life. And then then the day that he died, that was just, it was devastating. And you wonder how you're going to go on, and how you're going to get by in life, when something that tragic happens. But you know I talked about love being unstoppable, and I wrote about this in my chapter, that it was really it was really my love for Chase that motivated me to tell his story, because I didn't want his death to have been in vain. And I wanted to keep his memory alive. And this gave me a way to do that, telling his story. And that kind of motivated me to get through the pain of, I was always very shy growing up. And so public speaking did not come naturally for me. Um, I've grown to love it over the years, but I'm by nature, I'm pretty shy. And so it really changed me, because I had to lean into that. And it really helped transform me. Leaning into that pain, and using his story to help other people it gives me hope because I hear back from people. It's helped with the healing process. I hear back from people that I've told the story to over the years through speaking and writing, and I get a lot of good feedback from people, and so that's helpful to know that it is resonating with people and making a difference.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And it's funny you mentioned when Demi wrote you about the death notice, because she had reached out to me before she reached out to you and said, "I really want to ask for this." And I said, "Well, you should. And if he doesn't want to do it, he'll tell you." Um, but I didn't know about you speaking to the policeman, and I bet that was probably, you know, either way you went back to relive that. I think it was probably, you know, healing in some way. I know for me, there are, um, during my suicide attempt time, there are certain things that I remember like it just happened, and there are certain things that I cannot remember at all. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird, like, what sticks out for us for so long and is so clear, and then other things that you just can't even if somebody tells you what happened, you can't remember.
Right.
So it's so weird in that way during trauma, like how your brain blocks some things out and then really makes other things very clear.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that, because I think it will help people relate to, your situation to their situation, because it's a really big part of your story.
It's a hard thing to explain to people who haven't been through this sort of process, but
Mhm.
in one sense, it's kind of like ripping the scab off the wound every time you retell the story. But at the same time, there's something about it that's healing.
Mm.
Anyway, um, it's overall, telling the story, telling Chase's story has been beneficial for me.
Yeah, I think part of this whole process, for everybody as a whole. I mean, there are people that are part of the book that have written other books like yourself, and then there are some people who've never written anything, and this was a challenge for them. And either way, there were challenges for people writing about the subject matter, because even if they had written before, it wasn't about this. It
Mhm.
wasn't about the hard stuff that they don't talk about very often. And so I think you have a different perspective because you speak about it a lot, and you do, um, relive this stuff over and over, whereas some people were doing it for the first time. And so I think that's what's so special about this book, is just everybody is so honest and vulnerable, which is not normal for writing, as much as it should be, I think, because I think that's how you connect to readers and how people can relate to your story and learn from it. And that's the whole point, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
I know you kind of already talked about your experience of being part of the project, but is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Um, I'm just trying to.
I'm
I
putting
don't
you on spot.
know. I think this is a great. I think it's a great book because I mean I've always loved these kind of stories. Um, stories of just watching other people. I've always enjoyed being inspired by people who've overcome all kinds of different obstacles in life and who just persevere and keep going in the face of the obstacles, and so I mean, just the whole project just really appeals to me. And I think there's enough variety here with the stories and the different people in the group and that are the authors that I think most anybody can pick up this book and will find some story in there, probably several that they can relate to, and that hopefully gives them the encouragement that they need to keep going and get through something they might be going through right now.
Hmm.
So I would just encourage people to um, share it with friends, especially if you know a friend who's going through something that maybe needs some encouragement. To share this book with someone else. If you don't need it for yourself, share it with someone.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that maybe some people who don't think they need it might need it as
All
well.
right.
Because
Yep.
I was one of those people for a long time.
Hmm.
um, yes, but yes, we would love for you guys to watch the book, read the book, and I also want to invite you to our virtual book launch, which will be on February 22nd. And it will be, there's a link for Eventbrite that will be below this video. So you can register for free and you can share it with whoever you think might benefit. I think it's going to be a great event. We're really looking forward to getting all the authors together and letting you interact with them and ask them questions, and also just talking about the foundation. The Realize Foundation is where all of the funds will be going, and that's all about suicide prevention. And you can also read more about that. I'll give you all the information below this video. And right now, I'm going to take Darryl and I out of the stream so you can see this graphic for the book launch. And we hope to see you there. So thank you so much for being here today.